Hi guys, this is Sid with my bad English and the worst video quality on YouTube ever. And this is my review for Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, a game developed by Konami for the Nintendo 64 system. The Castlevania series starts in the 1986 for the some Famicom disk system and eventually for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The Castlevania series is basically an action platform bidimensional game where you control a vampire killer and you have to travel across the Dracula's castle and then finally kill Dracula. Once the generation of console of the Sony PlayStation, Sega Saturn and Nintendo 64 came out, for the Castlevania series it was a crucial point where they had to decide if to go for the formula more of the same and produce a bigger bidimensional Castlevania or to try out the third-person three-dimensional way. Konami also had to decide whether to produce their game for a multi-platform game or specifically made for Sony PlayStation or Nintendo 64 or Sega Saturn. In the end, Konami did both, because they both supported Sony PlayStation, creating in the 1997 the Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which was a bigger bidimensional game compared to the previous Castlevania, and had an awesome music perfectly fitting the Sony PlayStation audio, which was great at the time. Instead, for the Nintendo 64, Konami developed Castlevania 64 in the 1999. That game was a three-dimensional third-person action-adventure game, or sort of. Castlevania 64 had a very bad camera control system. So any easy jump, anything you had to do in the game was extremely difficult and sometimes even impossible. You would have to struggle against any fucking easy jump and the hazard across the levels. Also, the fights were very hard to play because most of the time you weren't able to aim at the opponent because the opponent was outside your camera and your view. So almost 1 year later, Konami developed Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, which was basically an improved version of Castlevania 64. It contained more levels, more characters, and a better camera control system. While the first Castlevania 64 had only 2 characters and about 10 levels, the new Castlevania Legacy of Darkness had about 5 characters and a few more levels. Specifically, if we consider that by playing a different character, any level would change. You would have a different output time to accomplish inside the level. Considering this, let's start talking about Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. The graphic of Castlevania Legacy of Darkness also got improved by Castlevania 64 and required the expansion memory pack for the Nintendo 64. Still, the graphic isn't on par with many games for the Nintendo 64. You would find better graphic on Majora's Mask or Perfect Dark or something else. But the graphic of the Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, we could say is fine, it's pretty much clear and runs smoothly. The gameplay is very easy. You will have to run across the stages with not many puzzles. I think there are just a couple in the whole game. By killing, you will have to kill vampires, zombies and stuff like that will pop out from nowhere, and you will have to walk across the hazard spread along the level. Walking past the hazard spread along the levels is the vast major of the time you will spend on this game. Still, the hazards in this game aren't many. You will have to jump from a platform to another, you will have to avoid some ground spike coming out from the soil, of course, some axe pendulum spread very across any level, and some flamethrowers spitting across the walls. I don't remember any other hazard. You can't fill, seriously, Konami, you can't fill 10 levels with just 4 kind of hazard. The experience of any game is that once you can move across the hazard for the first level, you will encounter no difficulty curve along the whole game. And that's because the hazard in the very last level are basically the same in the very first levels. With this being said, I wouldn't still throw Castlevania Legacy of Darkness into trash. And that's because it was one of the first action-adventure games in history. It wasn't the first at all, but it was one of the first. And it's surely there are many games that took inspiration of Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. One of these is of course Resident Evil 4. If you have the time to watch the opening cutscene of Castlevania 64 and the opening cutscene of Resident Evil 4 for the Nintendo GameCube, you will see a lot of resemblance from the two. I wouldn't say those are equal, but your feeling would be that that's surely an inspiration of Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. Let's speak about the longevity of the game. The game isn't a short game, of course, and that's because you can play 5 characters. So as long as you feel entertained and you like this game and you want to see all the possible endings, you want to play all the roster of characters. And this will take a lot of time. That's because a clear of the game will take about from 5 up to 10 hours of playtime, and that maybe about 10 hours if it's your first time, maybe 5 if it's not your first time. But having 5 characters, this turns up the longevity of the game up to 25, ranging from 25 up to 50 hours of playtime, which is fine for a Nintendo 64 game. Now, considering all I've said, I decided to score to Castlevania Legacy of Darkness a 7.50. That is situated about here, which means the game is circumcised or something is missing. And that's basically the number of hazard, the number of levels, and of course the number of monsters you can fight around. This is of course a bit generous, and that's because I'm a Nintendo 64 lover, retro game lover. Now let's move on into the gameplay. I'm gonna show you a few minutes of Castlevania Legacy of Darkness with me fighting against one of the final bosses, who should be Dracula. Thank you for watching, this is Sid, it's playtime. Okay, Castlevania Legacy of Darkness final boss, Dracula, first form. There are 3 forms. This is the first, then there's a second one, and in alternate paths with different characters you will see another form. This one is quite easy as long as you hide yourself into the coffin, and that will prevent you from taking most of the damage. Also, you would be at the same height of Dracula's head, thus letting you hitting this vampire for good. This is technically a spoiler, but since in every Castlevania you're a vampire killer and the final boss is Dracula, and since this game has about almost 20 years, don't fucking complain, okay, right? Dracula is lying. This is... oh well, this is technically the true form. This reminds me of Sacred, but not that much. One hit. Exploding. How am I supposed to dodge these attacks? Konami is famous for his boss's strength, and this one is nothing less than that was unavoidable, totally unavoidable. Okay, crashed at the first and took a lot of damage. Hopefully I have enough healing items, but I have to land a few strikes for sure. Double hit. That was close. I could have landed one. This one is a bitch. Why? Just because he decided to do that. As long as I'm packed with health, I'm fine. That's too quick. Well, sooner or later he'll die, I guess. One hit, two. There you go, motherfucker. I win it. No, I was wrong. This is the second form of Dracula. There's a third one, by the way, which is even harder. It's a huge fucking dragon. It covers, I would say, 80% of the area, and his attacks are all away. But this one wasn't easy as well. I apologize, but I'm playing this on an emulator. I don't have a camcorder to record off Nintendo 64. Thus, the graphic in here is a bit worse than what you would see on a Nintendo 64. Well, way more than a bit. Spoiler ends here. You can watch the final cutscene on YouTube if you lurk around. This was Sid, completing Castlevania Legacy of Darkness for the Nintendo 64.